Scandinavia is the northernmost supply center cluster. Britain, Germany and Russia all compete to see who can get the most of Scandinavia. I'm also going to include Finland, even though technically they're not Scandinavia, but nobody cares. They're in everybody's hearts, they are Scandinavians. If everybody really badly wants Scandinavia, this is the best they can do. So, who's to advantage? The British have a guaranteed shot at Scandinavia at all times. So do the Germans, just by being directly connected to Denmark at the start of the game. But the Russians, they ain't having a good time trying to get Scandinavia if nobody wants them to have Scandinavia. So of course we're going to start by showing how holding Scandinavia can be good for Russia. But first let's just look at what's good about Scandinavia in general. Now what is Scandinavia good for? In terms of strategic positioning. Any power that controls this region of the board can destroy Germany. Germany doesn't stand a chance if they don't have their hat, so to speak. So for Germany, it is ideal to make sure Scandinavia remains divided. Now how you choose to do that depends on the game. Scandinavia, it's a pretty solid position to threaten Britain. I mean, you can't guarantee a victory if they have no other enemies. But you do see there are 1, 2, 3 and 4, I guess, if you have the bands, because if you're Russia, you're gonna to attack these provinces, and Britain can hold you off. But at the end of the day, what are they gonna do? A good place to hold to put pressure on the British. And for Turkey, if you get a unit into Norway, it's worth it. It's just worth it for the funny. For the Russians, Scandinavia acts as a sort of buffer region to protect their northern center, St. Petersburg, which you cannot really protect in a regular game. As Russia, you cannot hold Scandinavia without holding Germany as well. Because unless you want to commit half of your army to just protecting Scandinavia, you're going to be overpowered. And in most cases, I don't think Scandinavia is really that worth protecting half of your army to keep 2 centers, and maybe 3. So here we have Russia, who has somehow managed to get all of Scandinavia, including Denmark. It's a bit more holdable now, but still pretty rubbish if you want to actually achieve anything. Unless you're focusing completely north, because if you focus too hard in the north, you're gonna get screwed by these 2 little gremlins. So for Russia, Scandinavia is alone. You will not keep it unless you're winning, because this is 4 units to weakly defend Scandinavia. And if Britain does this, you're gonna have to commit even more troops to not fully die, since Germany has all of this as well. It ain't gonna happen, it's a buffer. So basically you can defend it, but at that point you're spending like 5-6 units to defend 3 centers, which is just not worth it. It also pisses everybody off, because the Germans, they want Denmark. Well, how have you even gotten Denmark? Okay, the British, they want Norway, they want Sweden. They won't feel safe with enemy power just sitting there. You've basically pissed everyone off and you cannot hold it. And also, it makes it more difficult to, in beginning games, it makes it more difficult to form a stalemate line, because these 2 will be like, hey, but you got 7 centers, Russia, we only got 3. And then you're like, well, I don't have 7 centers, because you'll notice that I cannot hold Scandinavia. And then they'll be like, no, but you got centers. So, in beginner games, you cannot organize a stalemate line, because everybody will think you're screwing them over. For Germany, is Germany ever going to hold all of Scandinavia? This is my brand new opening. It's called the Scandinavia Opening. Okay? You convoy to Sweden. You get into Denmark. And then Britain's like, you know what? I didn't like Norway anyway. So then they let you into Norway. Great, you own all of Scandinavia. You're not gonna hold this. Even if you manage to somehow achieve this, it's pretty useless for Germany. Here you'll see, Germany managed to take Scandinavia, but he pissed off everyone in doing so. So now he can't defend himself, and he got so many centers that he can't really hold on to, especially if Russia doesn't want him to have Sweden anymore. It's not a good position to be in as Germany. You should really focus on actual Europe instead of taking all of Scandinavia. Nobody has ever thought of this. Why is this even a thing? Basically for Germany, Scandinavia is alone. Unless it's the end of the game, in which case you can default on your debts and just keep it. But early game, Scandinavia is not worth it. Now Britain. they stand to gain the most from owning all of Scandinavia. Because they want to control this northern area. As Britain, if nobody can contest you in the northern oceans, you're doing pretty well. Okay, so let's not do Scandinavia opening. I mean, it's a bit unrealistic. I don't know about you, but... So Scandinavia is a good place to hold the Russians up so they cannot advance. Because if Russia focuses entirely up here, they're getting barely anything down here. So if they really want Scandinavia, you can't really stop them unless you have German help. However, if they're doing what most Russias do, and just focus south, it basically, a single unit in Norway is enough to keep the Russians away. And then you also have a grip on St. Petersburg. So unless Russia wants to commit an army to defending that, you got some leverage there. It's pretty good. Now as Britain, if you own all of Scandinavia, oh boy. As Britain, if you own all of Scandinavia, you are pretty set to just destroy Germany, because you can collapse from the north while France... I mean, they've presumably been doing something right, so they've probably been attacking Germany. Now if you're at war with France, and are allied with Germany, taking Scandinavia might just piss everyone off, but... And you can hold it easily as Britain, because you are the naval power. Don't build too many navies. Here's why, but you are the naval power. Do not let anyone out-naval your navalness. And Russia can't really contend you there, unless they have nothing going on in the south. And if they do have something going on in the south, they're screwed, so... You just need to wait out the clock while you hold. Okay, so what are your opinions on the German Scandinavia opening? It's pretty epic. Scandinavia, you can't really take that without fleets. But maybe as Britain you should build less fleets. Why don't you see why?